One of my big pet peeves is when authors, like Patrick Rothfuss, don't put out any new books to their series, but instead just keep republishing the old books with new covers. Do you have any advice for how Rothfuss can put out books in a timely manner?
I don't generally even acknowledge the existence of that kind of chuckle-fuck unprofessionalism. I mean, why would I? I've never had that problem. Lots of donuts and whiskey, maybe some cartoons, oh, and video games. I find that playing video games fixes a lot of things because if you have a problem, you play video games until the old problem no longer applies and an exciting new problem presents itself. I should state for the record that Pat is great, and Pat's going to deliver, and it's all going to be fine.
Sure. Welcome to Between Two Perns. My name is Jackson Dickert, and I'm joined here by best-selling author Scott Lynch. Thanks for being here, Scott.
I think it's my pleasure. We'll find out.
Now, you've been known as Scott Lynch, but that's not the only name you've gone by in your life. Perhaps it would be more appropriate if I called you Prince Margrave.
Yeah, I was. The Margrave was Prince for a while, because Jesus, that was stupid.
Well, I recently watched a documentary called Nightgamers.
Jesus, fuck me in the ass.
I'm not ashamed to admit that, I play vampire role-playing games for the same reason that some people fantasize about being superheroes.
I had never set foot on this continent before I was dispatched here to take control of this anarch haven, this wharf on which the drowned rats congregate.
A tale of LARP.
Yeah, I was a LARPer in my loosey-goosey, poverty-stricken early years, and you can see every penny of my budget spent on that fucking character.
The smartest, ruthless, most cunning, and best negotiator around.
I'm the Margrave. Still Prince after all these weeks.
It follows a live-action role-playing game that took place in your town from 2002 to 2004. In the game, you killed a vampire named Seraphine and rose to become the Prince of the Vampires for a time before being betrayed.
No, I did not. I did not actually kill Seraphine. Hi, Cole, if you're ever watching this.
Scott Lynch is a pompous bastard. I just wanted to say that for the record.
Weirdly enough, we had somebody who was a documentarian who treated us as a sort of anthropology project. I was in my early 20s and had not yet written a novel, had not yet done much of anything, and was just kind of dicking around. That was my last big vampire live-action game, because live-action role-playing used to be basically, like, after high school for a couple of years was the major focus of my life, which is why I'm so well-adjusted now, and obviously, doing just great, absolutely normal, and not, some kind of scruffy vagabond who goes from interview to interview talking about when he was a vampire.
The tip of this wand glows briefly, cuts across your wrist, drops of blood begin to fall.
No, the Margrave was a Tremere, because Clan Tremere, fuck yeah. Why would you do otherwise? The blood magic, the swooning, the finger gestures, the chanting. So we were a bunch of idiots having fun being idiots, and occasionally people got blown up with bombs. I did not kill that particular character. I did not even want to rule the game, as it were.
I classify myself as a social power gamer.
So yeah, so that was my glorious start as the Margrave, a vampire among vampires.
Seeing as this game took place over the same period of time that you were writing The Lies of Locke Lamora, did you take any inspiration from the events that transpired?
Well, okay, so yeah, I was trying to get Lies off the ground. I'd sketched it out, and I'd kind of worked up a basic plot for it, and then the game, I think, kind of came to an end in 2003, and that was about when I started getting really serious, because I sold the book in 2004. So maybe a year or so after all of that nonsense. I'm sure that there are little references to it in Lies, because I used to be much more careless about, sticking in references to everyone I know, everywhere I've been. I mean, so Lies is full of stupid little in-jokes, many of which are heartfelt, some of which are just stupid and have been kind of discontinued. So there are a couple characters here and there that are little homages or shout-outs. There is an alchemist in the Lives of Locke Lamora. There's a family of people named de Albart that were an homage to one of the game masters of that game. So there's stuff in there that is heartfelt and well-meant, in addition to stuff that is, stupid.
In the game, you were described as smart, ruthless, cunning, and the best negotiator around. And I feel like those are skills that very much come in handy when it comes to brokering book deals and publishing. I've been considering joining a Twilight LARP that takes place in my town, but it takes a lot of time and, of course, a considerable glitter budget.
The dude's body was missing a head, so my friend decided to try and use a necromancer spell, which didn't work, which I knew it wouldn't. And apparently we contaminated the crime scene because that spell uses a lot of glitter.
Do you suggest other writers trying to get published join a LARP to help them hone their skills as well?
LARPing is a worthwhile path to international publication as a novelist if you are functionally fucking insane.
Once again, role-playing, not for the weak of mind.
There are many other career paths that will provide you with useful skills, by which I mean all of them, literally any other. No, I don't know. It's weird to have such mixed feelings about what we did when we were kids, basically. Part of me is like, I wish I had been a better game designer. I wish I had been a better game theorist. I mean, I also ran LARPs when I was, much younger. And I was bad at it. I was really bad.
The drawbacks to Scott as a leader is that when he's not on the podium preaching to the masses, he's a rather inattentive leader.
Scott Lynch is kind of a hermit, and he also loses track of time.
I was bad at logistics. I was bad at delegating. I did not have that skill set or know that I didn't have that skill set. I didn't learn how to delegate and work with other people until I became a firefighter. That was like, oh, fuck, I really wish I'd had these skills about 10 years ago. But I loved the enthusiasm. I love that sense of discovery. I love that sense of shared adventure. I did not enjoy the stupid social damage that we did to each other.
But for the sake of a good LARP, someone's got to stand up and give orders and make noise and cast shadows and cause things to happen.
You're not going to spit on me, are you?
No. The cliques we formed, the dumb games that we played around the game. It's just, unfortunately, you do something, you burn out your enthusiasm on it, and then eventually you learn how you might have done it in a healthy and productive fashion. So I'm deeply fascinated by games. I'm fascinated by theatrical performance of all sorts. And, I'm not going to deny that, there's things in live action role playing that are, I've become sincere all of a sudden, because we started, me and my bunch of friends who were doing this, we did this when we were, 15, 16, 17 years old. And so this for us was, this is how we develop public speaking skills.
If that's not the dumbest thing I've heard in 200 years, that's a shoo-in for first runner-up.
This is how we learn to carry ourselves in public.
May the guru hunt you until the end of time! Oh, you're right. On a technicality, he is correct.
This is how we learn to do stuff like negotiate.
Let me be explicit. Use a discipline without leave or good reason, I'm going to kill you. Pull a weapon, I'm going to kill you. There is no gray area here. Why do I have to explain this?
Ask for things.
He was a weak prince for about 7 months. Then he kind of got it into his head that he was being weak, and he just came down with the iron fist.
So many basic life skills that come from just pretending, because it's essentially, it's just an improv workshop that has rules for occasionally blowing up everybody involved. Every time I say, oh Jesus, why did I do that? Oh God, it was so stupid. It sounds, like I'm being a jerk to people I did it with.
Stop this stupidity right now!
The Margrave, or Scott played the character, is very condescending towards people and tried to be likable and nice, but it was the sort of thing that people thought that it was forced for his character.
And it's like, no, we had fun and we all learned things, and I just wish that we'd done it better. But that's life.
He decided to become a totalitarian dictator.
What can one do?
Scott, as a person, is a great natural speaker, a natural orator.
I award territory. I award title to it. I rescind it.
It's really fascinating to listen to him talk. for the first 10 minutes. And then it gets really old.
Yeah, one of your fellow players said that you were really good to listen to for the first 10 minutes, and then it, and then it gets old, and I'm kind of starting to see what they're saying there.
Yeah, you know, my fictional characters, unlike my real self, are, you know, they're limited duration to their charm and their charisma, which is not a problem that I have in real life.
No.
As you can see.
As I can see.
As you can see.
Wow.
I got a button right here.
Yeah, what's it do?
My publisher. They send fucking ninjas. They could be here right now. I'm kidding. I work for a genre publisher. I don't get fucking ninjas. They wouldn't send it. I could text my editor dying now, and she'd be like, "Good, have fun." Hi, Jillian. She really would.
You're not the first best-selling author who's threatened to kill me, so.
Oh, fuck! I thought I was such an innovator.
No.
Well, I'm not going to kill you, shithead.
Good. Thank you very much.
I have limited gifts in the being a stern vampire overlord.
I'm not a shy individual by nature.
It's that emerald-headed idiot.
I'm not a humble individual by nature. I'm pretty cocky. I'm very arrogant. And I can put that to good use in a character.
I myself think that I must have been pretty interesting for about 10 minutes. And then, you know, you just kind of wish that the fucker would shut up. But you know what? Maybe if everybody else had gotten their asses off the fucking wall and gotten involved in the plot every now and then, hi everybody else, I wouldn't have had to do so much fucking talking back in 2002. Hi, Darren.
This seems like a lot of emotions for a 20-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm over it. I'm completely.
I can tell. You're definitely over it.
Hi, Nate. Hi, Jesse.
You're definitely over it.
Yeah, it's all fine.
Prince Margrave, are you a fan of the mockumentary comedy What We Do in the Shadows?
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh God, I felt so called out and seen.
Still a few places to find rare gems.
LARPing stands for live action role playing.
I'm not entirely sure you could recreate the beautiful Wild West stupidity of all of the asinine things that we did, you know, 25 fucking years ago. There were so many life lessons and so many human resources lessons that had to be learned the really hard way by everybody involved.
The second action is I grab his ass.
So yeah, no, What We Do in the Shadows is an authentic fucking documentary.
In regular life, I'm just Jonathan, but here I am a very high-level paladin.
Goofy part is I was sober all the while. There was no drugs, no alcohol involved. Everything there is completely natural brain chemistry. So
that's more embarrassing.
Explain it. Yeah, I have no excuse whatsoever.
Submit to the same conditions given to him. So he'll be extremely well cared for.
Submit.
Very good. He is in my custody. Interference with him will mean death. He levitates.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I can't do that.
That's okay. You can't do that?
I tried, but you know, I failed.
He leaves the room with me. The briefcase bomb goes to Lake Minnetonka.
Now, you're best known for The Lies of Locke Lamora, which is basically Oliver Twist meets Ocean's 11. Appropriation within fantasy is becoming a big talking point lately, as I'm sure you're aware. So would you like to get ahead of the allegations and apologize to the estate of Charles Dickens and to the city-states of Renaissance Italy?
No, and no. First off, because Charles Dickens is dead, and second, because it's Italy. Bitch, please. This is not to say that there are not many fine people in Italy. There are tourists as well. I stole so much in that book. I stole from Charles Dickens. My pal Chucky Dick, I ripped him off. I stole from my pal Alex Dumas. I ripped off so much stuff from Dumas because Chucky Dick and Alex D, they ripped off so much stuff from the people who'd come before them. So it is less appropriation, more the identification of useful and eternally relevant literary DNA that can be repurposed. And the ability to identify that and put it into your own work is, some would say, flavor of genius.
I'm not a humble individual by nature. I'm pretty cocky. I'm very arrogant.
Humility as well, but mostly genius.
I don't think that.
I fucking ripped off Ray Feist too. I ripped off everybody. I ripped off Michael Moorcock. I ripped off Matt Stover. I directly stole from Matt Stover. I put elements of his world into mine. So I got an email from him claiming that he owns everything I've ever done, and it's technically inside his continuity. Well, fuck you, Matt.
I didn't think it would be this easy to get you to admit that you plagiarized it all.
Matt, you're in Illinois. What are you going to do? Start walking, buddy. Come find me.
As a master writer, I'm sure you have to work hard to make sure that you don't overwrite so as not to lose your audience. So, in your professional opinion, how much time should be spent on objectively boring descriptions like, say, describing the making of counterfeit chairs? No more than a paragraph or two?
Well, no, actually, more books could use counterfeit chairs. I mean, lately I've been listening to Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall and Bring Up the Bodies, which are relentless in their excellence. Some of the best novels I have ever read or listened to. Just staggering works of fucking genius that deserve every award that they've ever won, but they don't have chair counterfeiting, and I think it's a gaping issue that she maybe could have looked into before she died. But I think that's also why she died.
Is there a Mrs. Chains?
Chances are that there isn't, or if there was, she's in a refrigerator somewhere, to create necessary emotional energy.
So are you saying that women belong in the kitchen?
I stole that from Gail Simone.
On that note, I noticed when you introduced the female gentleman bastard, some readers found her annoying because she had a lot of baggage that came out in ugly ways at times. So my question is, could you stop writing complex female characters and just write one that's willing to fuck Locke?
There's a surprising number of people online who wish that I would, and it's kind of disconcerting. Dropping of kayfabe here, it's difficult to be sarcastic about this. I'm terribly sorry that people are complex, and everyone is something else at different times to everybody else in their lives. That we are all a series of masks in various times and places to one another, and the last thing on earth that Sabbatha was ever going to be is just, a happy helpmeet for Locke. I mean, she's there to tease and mystify the audience for a bit. I mean, I don't know what part of leaving her off stage for 2 books to build the anticipation, could fail to signal that. But, I had originally written the little prologue in Republic of Thieves where Locke sees her for the first time. That had been written as part of The Lies of Locke and Lamora, and I felt that it was incongruous. I felt that it was unbalanced to have just one random interlude where we see her and interact with her. So I decided it was much more fun to keep her off stage. And no, the thing is that yeah, she's fucking difficult as hell. She's prickly, and her reasons for being involved with Locke are also difficult and complicated. It's it's not one of those ushy-gushy, fated to be romances, but I mean, it's also real. It's problematic, but there's real parts to it, and I explored some of that in Republic. With her basically saying to the audience so that people get it, I don't fully understand what it is between us. I know that I want something between us, but I have difficulty figuring it out myself.
Sure.
I don't know what to tell you, people. It was maybe a little bit of a smoother relationship prior to my own divorce, and that's the sort of thing that that's the sort of quote that can go very wrong if it's excerpted and goes viral on social media in itself. But what I mean is that the version of Republic of Thieves that existed before I went through a divorce was a more callow and more shallow book than what came out the other side. Because the guy who came out the other side was disabused of some of his naive notions of what it means to be in a relationship, what it means to the fact that relationships need work, and they need work from both sides, and that it's an ongoing, continuous thing, and it's not a sort of magic that you just fall into that will persist untended for the rest of your life. So that informs what has happened to, Locke and Sabbatha, and informs their relationship. And it's not, oh, fuck, I'm bitter now, this book is going to be miserable, I'm going to punish my characters. It's just that I think I have a more realistic perspective on that. I fell in love again, got married again, and we've been together now for, it's been 13 years. So, the reconstruction for both of us was wonderful. But I'm not going to write a naive 101 level romance as I might have, 20 years ago. It's just like everything else in the series, it's got to evolve. And I want to write a more adult version of, what it once might have been sketched out as.
That was a lot more than I ever cared to know.
So, I'm sorry, yes. So, if you just cut at the 10-minute mark, I think that's about where it stops being interesting.
Perfect. Okay, I'll cut it there. I briefly want to step away from your writing career and discuss some of the problematic things you've admitted to online. Am I to understand that you were invited to give a speech on the mechanisms of surprise to an AP English class, and to drive your point home in that speech, you stripped down to your boxer shorts mid-presentation, exposing yourself to minors?
Where the flying fuck did you find out about that?
On your blog.
Did I tell people about that?
You told people.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, yes. Yeah, I used a cheap trick. We were all tasked with doing something. We were supposed to spice the speech up in some way or use a prop, and I used myself as a prop.
It may be important to clarify earlier on in your answer than later that you were a high schooler and also a minor at that time.
Yeah, I was 15, people. This is not something that I've regularly done since, not since being arrested in Nebraska. The effect on my classmates, that was fun. The effect on my teacher, now that was gratifying because that guy could turn red like nobody's business. I'd completely forgotten that I'd ever fucking talked about that in public, that's what getting old is like. You forget that you confessed to deeply personal things you did in high school, and then you grow a beard, and then you start reading Joe Abercrombie novels for pleasure, and the next thing you know, you're dead. That's what middle age is, kid.
So avoid the Abercrombie books and I could be immortal.
Yeah, basically.
You also admitted to committing serial academic self-plagiarism, something that would have resulted in severe consequences had you been caught doing so in a college.
There was no internet, of this, of the modern nature. You could just make shit up, especially if you were really overdue on a paper. I'm pretty sure that was the Tolkien paper, on which I got a very good grade, but it was supposed to have a heavy research aspect, and we were supposed to document our research with footnotes and do all the citations. And I had just one problem, which is I was lazy and didn't want to fucking do that. So I stayed up all night and I invented journals, and I invented scholars, and I created this whole bibliography that looked perfectly plausible from the outside, and I got dinged on it for improper formatting. But there was no way she was ever going to fucking check. There were 35 kids in the class, and we were all submitting these. So it was a very cursory sort of thing. I would never advise anybody to do this, of course. Especially these days, but no Google in 1994 or 95, kids. You could get away with so much shit, it was great. So yeah, I lied. Dude, it was high school.
I think you're about to learn a very hard lesson that sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut.
Possibly when my high school diploma gets revoked, I'll get a little note in the mail.
Here's the thing, Scott. I didn't know about the Tolkien.
Oh, what did you think I'd plagiarized about?
You turned in the same art project.
Oh, the different plagiarism. Yeah, okay. Different plagiarism.
Right,
Wow.
so, okay.
I did just sort of incriminate myself.
You absolutely did, Scott.
I just assumed I'd talked to... Okay. Now, this is the funnier plagiarism.
Yeah, you got a B the first year, and then an A on the project in your subsequent years with no changes made to it. Do you mean to tell me that even back in high school, you were good at coasting off a one-hit wonder?
Do I mean to tell you that even back in high school, my art teacher was an absolutely spaced-out freak? Yes, I do. Very interesting person. She's no longer with us. We all had to do a gradient, and I was very strange.
11 points of non-aggravated damage, all your blood vanishes. Okay. It was really simple. It was just a handshake. That doesn't cause any... No, I'll be okay.
No, my friends even got it.
Followed by the application of some magic. Just fall against the wall.
I was simultaneously the biggest fucking slacker in the universe and a tremendous overachieving freak.
No.
If you want to know the traits that combine to form novelist Voltron, I think you will find that they are, rampant lunatic enthusiasm and total laziness.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
I created this, as I was concerned, and I smoothed it out and made it look really beautiful. I'm the only fucking person in the class who does this. Everybody else is just like, color gradient. And I got a B on the most beautiful color gradient anyone had ever seen. I needed a project, you know, to meet the semester minimum. So I pulled this fucker out and I said, I did a variation on a theme from last year. And she said, oh, it looks so much better. A. And I said, well, that was easy. Let's try this again. Surely I can't get away with this a third time. Well, I got away with it in my junior year and I got away with it in my senior year. I turned this fucking thing in 4 times for a B, an A, an A, and an A. Steady improvement year after year, according to the world's greatest art teacher.
All of those things were a long time ago. But you know what was also a long time ago? The last time you published a book. You and Joe Abercrombie published your first books in 2006, and since then Joe has finished a total of 14 books, with a 15th to be released. You, on the other hand, have released 3 books of a series of 7 in the same span of time. Just to get a sense of how long ago that was, here's a picture of what one of the most popular cell phones looked like in 2006.
Oh, there were cell phones in 2006. Yeah.
We did have those.
It looks like a life preserver of some sort.
The first book you published was June 2006. The second book was in 2007. Third book in 2013. The fourth book had a release date set for fall 2015, and then it was pushed back to September 2016. And then it was pushed back even more. But then you sent a completed manuscript to your editor in 2019.
No.
You didn't?
No. I have to break kayfabe here and be serious about that. No, I finished a draft, but the draft was not submitted.
I see.
I've had to explain this to some people over the years. Like, drafts actually have to be submitted. You must give it to your editors so the editors can then edit the book. There's no transmutative property of a pile of paper sitting on a desk.
Right.
It doesn't just, like, much as we wish it would, it doesn't magically edit itself, because we and the editors would fucking love that. That would be amazing.
Right.
Not how it happens.
So, Prince Margrave, let's cut the bullshit. When's the book coming out?
The future.
So the future, great. So
Yes.
not in the past.
No, I am happy to dispel that it's not coming out previously.
Okay.
And it's not coming out right now.
Okay. Because we have people looking back to see if maybe...
Well, no, they're wrong. They should be looking forward.
Okay.
The one direction that God allows.
The good news, though, is that out of the holy trinity of best-selling slackers, you are given the most grace. Martin and Rothfuss last published a work in their major series in 2011, and you're sitting pretty at your last release in 2013. That being said, however, your unreleased sequel needs its numbers pumped up a bit. The Winds of Winter has 12,500 ratings and a 4.39 right now.
Oh, God.
Doors of Stone.
Oh, the fucking time travelers have weighed in. I love these guys.
Doors of Stone has a 3.56 right now with 5,100 ratings. And the Thorn of Publishing has a 4.3 with almost 2,800 ratings.
How is the rating so far? Not that I'm complaining, but how do I have a 4.3?
I don't know.
I don't have a 4.3 on the books I've written. This wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey literary beast that doesn't exist yet is already a critical darling. What the fuck?
Congratulations.
What the fuck, you chronological saboteurs? What have you been doing?
Do you think that yours has the least number of early ratings because people believe it has the best chance of ever coming out?
Well, I would say that it has the least number of early ratings because I am the least commercially successful of the 3 people we're talking about.
Wow.
I mean, I'm by no means unsuccessful. I mean, the books are international bestsellers and have been for years and years now. But, George has a Tesla made out of caviar. He has a new one made every week. And Pat has a golden personal zoo with 27 badgers that he's been training. And I have a wallet. I'm sure that more stuff is coming, and I'm sure it's going to be fucking great. And, it'll come in its own time when it's right for them. On the other hand, Pat and George and I, we all have big shoulders. We can take it. We should be able to take some of this shit. It's not going to wound us. It's not going to drive us into seclusion. I don't give a shit if people say mean things about me online. I've had 18 fucking years to get used to that. I had LARPs before that to get used to that. If you live any aspect of your life in public, you got to deal with the fact that someone is going to come along and say something mean about you. God knows I've never said anything mean about anybody in my fucking life.
I hate you even more now, Jesse. My spider sense is tingling.
I have faith that, good stuff is still coming from them. And, how you engage with that as a reader, as an audience member, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to tell you how to live your life. Live it in hope and enthusiasm, or live it for petty bitchery on Twitter. I know which one seems more rewarding. I don't have any other dead horses that I can really beat about the subject.
I don't think you should be beating off any dead horses.
Oh no, I'm gonna beat dead horses all over the internet. Please make this a clip all by itself and let it go viral.
Will do. You have something of a similar story to Joe Abercrombie, however, in terms of how you got your start.
Oh Christ, do I? Jesus.
You didn't query. One of your friends, Darren, pointed out your online blog to editor.
I did accidentally sell a novel, yes.
In a 2013 LiveJournal post, you said, I sold my first novel in 2004 to an editor I'd never met halfway across the world on the strength of about 60 pages and an outline. That doesn't happen very often. You're right, Prince Margrave. That doesn't happen very often.
Doesn't.
Do you think there's a reason for it? Like maybe there's a reason why publishers don't want to take a chance on some author with 60 pages and outline. Like maybe it'll result in a book series that had 3 books published in a 7-book contract over the course of 20 years.
I'm expending 13 mental traits to boil your blood points. How many blood points do you have?
I believe we have to play rock, paper, scissors.
Oh no, because I'm touching you. I don't. I just have to expend mental traits.
Are you serious? I thought we had to do rock, paper, scissors.
I got it. Nope, you're touched. There's no contest, buddy. Your blood's boiled.
Up to where the Margrave is, and he curled into a fetal position. Yes, you are on the ground.
Okay, I don't get any test whatsoever.
Okay.
You see why Clan Tremere is fucking awesome? Because you can do incredibly narcissistic social manipulation shit like that. Like, oh, would you like to shake hands? Haha, bitch, your blood is boiled. Why would you be anything but that? I'm sorry I boiled your blood, man.
Yeah.
More will circulate. Eat some bacon and take some aspirin. You'll probably be fine. The embolisms are almost certainly temporary. The nodules in your lungs are a different matter entirely.
Yeah, well, I shoot you with my gun and you die.
Oh, no. I am quick enough to dodge your pathetic attempt to shoot me.
When do we get to do rock, paper, scissors?
Well, now.
Okay.
See?
Is it not best 2 out of 3?
Nope, not this time. Only if you have a skill, which you don't. I don't even remember why I'm sandbagging you.
There was a good reason.
So yes, I did accidentally sell a novel.
Yes.
I was trying to. I was enamored with the notion that I was going to document the whole, woe is me struggle of a young artiste living in a garret to submit his novel and get it rejected. And like I said, there were like 4 or 5 entries on the blog when I sold the fucking novel. I couldn't even succeed at having a failure blog. I fucked it up, so...
Must be tough.
It was terrible. It was so terrible. Accidental success out of nowhere when you're 26. How anybody handles that, I don't know. Mostly we get really strange.
In 2004, you had an interview where you said,
So I'm going to be writing books for these guys for the next 3 years or so at the very least. Even if they don't like me, I have to write 4.
So this was before you had the 7-book contract.
Yeah, because there was the first 2-book contract and the second
2-book contract.
And then, yes.
Yeah. Do you ever wish you could go back in time to 2004 Prince Margrave and stroke his gorgeous, beautiful, luscious hair and tell him, no, sweet summer prince, you will be writing books for these guys for the rest of your life?
There's a lot of things that I could say to myself in 2004 that would save me a lot of trouble.
Bitcoin, right? Obviously, it's Bitcoin.
The thing is, if I fixed all the things in my life, which I was then in the process of fucking up, and I was in the process of fucking up quite a lot, it wouldn't bring me to the place where I am now, a place I'm actually really, really happy. It, wouldn't bring me to this marriage, this relationship, the place I live, the things I'm doing now, so...
Right here in the internet.
So yeah, and it wouldn't have brought me to this room in particular, which would be a fucking shame.
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah,
because you're...
It's really good.
You're okay. You're all right.
Can I use that as a blurb on a book?
You're adequate.
Great. That is all I have to ask about your publishing experience, but I do have a few more questions, Prince Margrave.
Ruby.
How often do you update your website?
About once every 5 years, apparently. I did it yesterday, literally yesterday as we are sitting here.
You updated it yesterday?
Yeah.
I think you might need to go take another look.
So prior to that, 5 years.
Okay. Well, you still need to go take another look. I double-checked this morning. On your FAQ, there's a question that says, do you have a message board or forum of some sort? And the answer to this question is that there's an unofficial forum dedicated to your work, started by the kindness of a reader with a link. And you mentioned that you're a member of the community and that you post frequently there. I regret to inform you that if you click that link, it takes you to a site where people post nude leaks.
Why would I ever change such a drastic improvement?
I do think you need to clarify, though, at the minimum. Even if you leave it up, I think you need to clarify, because you say you post there regularly, and I scoured the site and could not find any Scott Lynch nudes.
So there's a reason why I buried the fact.html, which I guess I will go delete very shortly.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Congratulations, you went to the trouble of typing in faq.html.
No, just very clever boys know how to use Google correctly.
I will confess, I actually kind of fucking forgot that was there.
Well, Danny kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
Because, object permanence, brain like a walnut, and, it was kind of gone. It's like, got your nose. Never gonna give it back. I've got it now.
Most people
you can't have it back.
Give it fucking back.
No, we'll talk about this later. It's going in my pocket. Yeah.
Most people just say thank you instead of taking your nose.
Most. Tremere, bitch.
You've had a lot of different jobs, right? Have any of them contributed to the work that you do now?
Every single one. I was a dishwasher, I was a waiter, I was a busboy/host, I was an office monkey, I had a paper route for a little while, I worked in a kitchen, I worked in a lumberyard, I was a volunteer firefighter. So every single one, every retail customer service experience I have ever dealt with, it's all in there. Maybe not in terms of its technical details, like there are very few spreadsheets, no HTML in Locke's world, but all of the misery, all of the tragicomic human endeavor of the blue-collar life, it all goes in there somehow.
That's awesome. I can kind of relate. I've had a ton of different jobs. I worked as a physical therapy tech, a drama counselor at summer camp. I was a pharmacy tech for a bit, and I even worked as a janitor for 10 years. I think that last one helps me the most in doing these author interviews because I already have so much experience taking out the trash.
That's what you got, buddy?
That was it, yeah. I don't know. It wasn't good? I was good.
You've read my stuff, and that's the biggest hit you got?
I wasn't bad.
You know where my FAQ is.
Right.
You've seen my website.
Yeah, but...
Then these are the jokes.
Yeah.
I'm right here, and this is how you mock me.
Yeah.
I present so many angles of approach.
Yeah.
I feel somewhat insulted.
Here's the thing, Scott. It's almost overwhelming, the amount that there is to go at. So you just have to go general. You have to go broad.
You're just gonna dad joke me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I have one more question.
I bet this one's really good and insightful. I bet money from Earth. I bet one money this will be a good and insightful question. Am I better at psychic battle than you are? Or...
Sorry, I was supposed to ask a question. It must be really frustrating having an expectation of something happening in a timely manner and it never comes.
See? That's so much fucking better. That one was good. That was a good cook, son. That's what you should have gone with. Edit out the shit part and hit me with that. That's so much better. Maybe that would be suitable for a Peter V. Brett interview, but not for something high quality like this.
The limelight.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is that we don't live in our mom's basements, and we have jobs, and most of us pay our bills.
Oh yeah, wait a minute. That's right. We're the exception rather than the rule among gamers, aren't we? We're like those groomed and attractive dudes who pay the rent and have money.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
That's me. This is September of '78, so I was 5 months old.